All right, so let's share. Let's do this presentation. Slideshow from the beginning. Cool. So I want to go over this Veterans in STEM program. So the Veterans in STEM organization is actually an umbrella organization that has this Green STEM scholarship program in it. So I know some people kind of use that interchangeably, but the actual program is the scholarship program is a subsect of our actual Veterans in STEM outreach. Now, our Veterans in STEM outreach is pretty much like an organization at UCLA that helps veterans succeed in STEM or scientific related fields. Now, we fall under the Center for Diverse Leadership in Science, CDLS, which is a massive organization that kind of encompasses like marginalized individuals that are in STEM fields, such as underrepresented communities, veterans, and so forth. So it's not just veterans, it's actually everyone that is underrepresented in scientific fields. Now, the Center for Diverse Leadership mission, their vision is to, one, anchoring the work in training and supporting the next generation of scientists, engineers, health professionals, educators, policymakers, and academic and business leaders. So we are looking to develop leaders under this actual program. Now, this is the top of the food chain. The next level is our Veterans in STEM program, which falls directly under us. So we emulate the same ethos and values as the veterans, as the, sorry, getting my laser pointed out, as the Center for Diverse Leadership in Science. Now, our aim is to broaden the pathway into science and support retention. We want to expand the scientific community to encompass a larger breadth of individuals who may come from backgrounds which are underrepresented, but also who are marginalized and do not have the same level of resources as some of their peers, aka veterans. A lot of veterans fall into this. Taking 4 years off of, or 4+ years off of undergraduate or academic study puts you in a very difficult position if you're, let's say, going for engineering right off the bat. It's a tough transition, believe me. So that's what we're kind of looking to do. We're empowering, inspiring, retaining the people of STEM and trying to diversify that organization under this umbrella. So one step down, the Veterans in STEM Outreach is what I founded at UCLA. Now, our mission, as you can see, is listed here, but we aim to support, to increase the success rates of veterans in STEM fields. We do this by providing additional resources and opportunities, develop a community that feeds into the scientific lifestyle, provide mentorship, tutoring, advanced placement to competitive research opportunities, and assist in long-term retention or occupation of jobs after graduation. So we are in it for the long haul, not the short term. And this program that we are looking to provide or actually open up to you is an extension of that. So this specific program has a specification in Green STEM. Now, this is the biggest thing that I want to get clear right away. You do not have to be in a green STEM field, like such as geoscience, geospace, and so forth, to qualify for this program. This is extremely broad, and we take every type of major, but we kind of cater the research towards green scientific fields. For example, we have 2 psychology majors at UCLA who have been selected for this program. So it's not just hardcore engineering or, hey, this has to be for the environment and so forth. We have research opportunities that are going to cater to that, that will fill that requirement for you. So this is a very, very broad topic. And now you don't even have to be in a STEM field at this moment in time, because I know a lot of you are probably not sure what they want to do and probably finishing up the general requirements before moving into something more technical or going in a separate direction. But this, the focus is on green STEM here. Now, why green STEM? Well, what a lot of veterans look for, especially when going to university, because of the accelerated time that they have already on this planet, but also in service, they have a different level of maturity and different view and goals on things. They want to get jobs that pay. And jobs that pay at this moment might not be the jobs that pay tomorrow. And that's something I found out in my undergraduate program as a chemical engineer that focused on fuels. Yes, the job market is still there, but it is diminishing. You want to go with something that's expanding, and there's nothing more expansive and things that are developing as fast as this as green STEM. The reason being, the Paris Climate Accord, if some of you have heard of that, is basically saying that we have to start removing CO2 atmosphere, from our atmosphere actively to meet that 1.5 centigrade limit on our average climate. Now, this is huge because it's going to polarize a lot of government resources, private resources, and pretty much everything across the board to address this issue. And the closer we get to this mark, the more it's going to become a critical point. So this is going to be a field that is expanding rapidly. At this moment in time, it's already expanding, but by the time you guys graduate, it's going to be a field that pays extremely well. Now, 8.6 million STEM jobs represent 6.2% of the US employment. 4.5 million new green jobs at entry level, highly skilled, and leadership will be created by 2030. And this green industry could also generate $4.3 trillion in revenue by 2030. This includes solar plants, hydroelectric power plants, geothermal, CO2 sequestration points, water purification, anything along those lines. Pretty much every type of major can fall within these categories. Now let's take a look at the jobs. This is the Department of Labor, from the Department of Labor in 2021. Environmental engineer or environmental scientist, specialist, median pay 73,000. Chemist with a bachelor's, 79,000. Hazardous material, just a high school degree, 45,000. Environmental science and so forth, the geoscientist, 93,000 with a bachelor's. Biochemist, biophysicist, about 100K. These are all real numbers and real median salaries of individuals within that sector. Now, median meaning this is the average. You can be on the higher end or the lower end of this. Now, this is a pretty good place to start. These are the same numbers that I was reported when I was doing my introduction orientation into chemical engineering, with petroleum engineering making around 98K a year average. So this is where the market is moving, and this is why we focused on green STEM for this specific program. So before I get into everything, I want to kind of introduce myself and who am I to this program and what I actually do. So I'm the graduate student mentor of this program, and I'm also the founder and president of the Veterans in STEM Initiative. I was a United States Marine Corps. I am a United States Marine Corps veteran. I worked as a critical skills operator, now known as the Raiders, with MARSOC. I did my bachelor's in chemical engineering at Penn State, my master's and MBA combined, one master's in energetic chemistry and an MBA in strategic management at University of Rhode Island, and my PhD at this moment is currently at UCLA and in my last year on this. I'm a Tillman Scholar, a Sentinel Freedom Scholar, and also a Center for Diverse Leadership Fellow. Personal story. The reason I started this organization is because there's a lot of barriers that veterans face, especially when getting out of the military. It doesn't matter if you did 4 years, you did 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, whatever term, you come out from an environment that's hypercharged, is very different from what a civilian lifestyle is like, and you're put into a place that people from high school or students or your peers from high school are still trying to figure themselves out. You're already displaced quite a bit, and transitioning is very hard. So my personal story, I went to a lot of problems. As you can see, my quote, transitioning out of the military and adapting to a STEM-focused curriculum was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I was in a special operation branch, which every day they try to weed you out. So why was it so difficult? One, I didn't have anybody that was similar to myself. I didn't have the similar experiences, so I couldn't relate to my peers. Two, I was displaced out of academic environment for about 4 years. So of course, I'm going in it with a somewhat of a handicap. And on top of that, I just didn't know how to approach it. STEM is hard. I was in chemical engineering. That was extremely hard. My first year, I had like a 2.5 GPA or something, but I got over it because I figured out how to create, like, how to basically emulate the same environment in the military in my lifestyle. And that's kind of what I'm looking to do here. Create an environment or a space that is advantageous for veterans to take care of, and have a community that supports each other, just like the military did for me. For me, in undergrad, it was a fraternity, a South Asian oriented fraternity that had a lot of individuals in scientific fields. I'm not saying we start up a fraternity. What I'm saying is we should create an environment that allows veterans to succeed and gives them the resources to do so. And that's what we are doing with this Veterans in STEM program. So what is this Veterans in Green STEM scholarship program? It's, at this moment in time, it's a one-year scholarship with an advanced placement into research opportunities that is open to veterans of any major with an intended movement into a green STEM field. That's very important. 5 UCLA veterans and 5 ELAC veterans are intended to be selected for this program. It provides scholarships up to $10,000. At UCLA, it's a little bit trickier to kind of deal with the funding, but I believe at ELAC, it's a lot less red tape that you have to go through. So $10,000 per year of active participation. And this depends on financial aid eligibility and so forth, but that's how much we're offering per year. Now, we got funding for about 2 years. So if this goes well, we could extend this out and have another year of $10,000 worth of funding following the student where they go. If it's to UCLA or if it's to ELAC, if you guys make a cross or anything like that. So this provides tutoring services and help with schoolwork and classes, advanced placement into as candidates of research labs at UCLA associated with green STEM focused projects, establishes a community of veterans with similar academic goals and interests designed to facilitate the success of all members, and you become a fellow of the Center for Diverse Leadership in Science, which automatically gets you the same benefits that network has. And that is a very good network to be in, especially if you're looking for job placement or further academic opportunities. And with that, you also gain mentorship from a breadth of different mentors. I myself am the graduate student faculty mentor, but there's other mentors who are actually part of the CDLS as tenured professors who will also be a part of this mentorship program. It's good to have those that cascading level of mentorship, because you will have mentorship at every single level and you'll be able to ask for support at every single level as well. So what are the aims of this program? We're going to recruit veterans with an interest in geo-environmental STEM fields and establish a cross-institutional community to facilitate this interest among similar peers. That's creating that community of veterans for this, veterans supporting veterans. 2, we want to establish a support system to increase the academic success. 3, establish a cross-institutional placement of veterans into geoscience and environmental labs for research opportunities. This is very, very research focused. 4, develop diverse leadership through the participation of members in various leadership engagement roles. 5, develop empathy and understanding of veteran-related circumstances to current geoenvironmental science communities. Basically, we want to develop that understanding of what veterans actually go through for people doing the selection and introducing people into academic or the research community. Most of them don't understand that, so they create a hostile environment and don't understand how to actually overcome the transitional issues that veterans face. And 6, record and analyze these metrics for retention. We're going to actually use this to develop a framework or a model that can be used across the US at various universities. And that's the actual underworking of this actual program. We want to create a system that works for veterans, helps veterans, and then helps veterans on a national level. That can be continued and used over and over again. So this is actually bigger than just financial compensation or a scholarship. It's basically being a part of a community. Cool. So the expectations of participations of this program outlined here. Basically, we want you to attend weekly meetings with myself. These aren't formal meetings, they're just informal, just to know how everything's going and what we can do to actually help you out. Two, we want you to attend monthly meetings with a faculty member, somebody above my pay grade, that kind of just monitors your success and monitors what you're doing and how you're actually performing. And they'll give feedback to myself as well. Want to basically build morale and build like a community. So we're going to have actual team building events where we can actually facilitate that. We want you to be in a similar environment as the military that creates, that dampens that transitional effect. Not that you're going to get yelled at or anything, but it's going to be more of like something that's similar to that, that a lot of veterans actually long for. And actually a lot of veterans have a program for it and kind of moving into the regular job market. This is kind of to ease the transition and move into where you are now. 5, establish educational plan with myself. So basically we want to have an actual tutoring and academic success plan for you, how you're going to succeed and what things we can do to help you out and where we can provide tutoring for you. The education plan is career oriented. The education plan is basically, hey, what do you want to do with your life? And how do you want to set yourself up for that? And even if you're not sure, we can try to get you into a position where you have some understanding of, hey, maybe I can go this direction, or maybe I can go this direction, but at least I have a foot hold to stand up on. We want you to maintain at least a 3.0 GPA in this program, and this can help you with occupation acquisition, getting into academic communities and so forth. The 3.0 is a very strong GPA for that. We want you to complete a capstone project. This is going to be a CO2 sequestration review paper. Now, this is not just like, hey, some random paper that you're going to be submitting to me and it's graded. No, this is going to be a paper that we're going to teach you how to do research and conduct a scholarly review of journal articles and basically compile credible sources, credible resources, and actually write up a paper that will be published in a peer-reviewed journal. This is what graduate students do at that level. And your names will be on this actual publication. And this is actually a very, very strong piece of an item on your resume, as it will open up the doorway to various academic institutions and so forth. A lot of undergrads do not have any papers that they have their name on. This is something that usually the top tier undergrads may have. And what we are looking to do is actually create a favorable pathway where you can get your names on these publications. And we're going to teach you how to do this research as well. This isn't going into lab and doing research. This is something that you can do at your home, at your desk, or remotely. But we're going to teach you how to actually do this and actually do this in a way that's at the university level. Want you to participate in one research lab experience for at least one term at UCLA. It can be in the summer. Basically, this is providing you the opportunity to go into lab and actually be a part of that environment. See what it's all about. If it's not for you, it's totally fine. But it's something that will be something that you can place on your resume. And with that, we're creating a favorable pathway for you. We're going to make sure that your PI or whoever's in charge of you or conducting the research understands what veterans are going through and have a space that actually allows veterans to succeed. There's a lot of, like even my circumstances, like I've cycled through 2 different PIs because I couldn't get along with them. They didn't understand where I was coming from with half the stuff I was doing, why my life was going a certain way, and so forth. So we don't want any of that. We want to basically create an environment that is optimized for you as a veteran. 9, participate in quarterly surveys. This is just logistical stuff, and program surveys. This is for us to create a metric for measuring success. So the Capstone Project. Now, I know there's a lot of questions on this and why are we even doing this project and so forth. This Capstone Project is on CO2 sequestration review. Now, CO2 sequestration is something that the Paris Climate Accord has, or IPCC, has basically deemed that, hey, we have to remove a massive amount of CO2 actively from the environment to meet that 1.5 centigrade. We cannot just reduce the emissions anymore. So this is a field that's getting a lot of attention. Billions of dollars are going into this. Bill Gates threw, I think, $1 billion into carbon mineralization. That's a form of CO2 sequestration. Chevron, I believe, or Exxon or Chevron, is actually submitting a $100 billion proposal to the US to sequester CO2 off the Gulf of Mexico. So all of these things, massive amount of funding is going into this field. That means there's going to be one massive amount of research opportunities, job opportunities, and so forth. So if you develop an understanding of this field, maybe it'll polarize you to move into it, or it will polarize you to kind of see it in a different light. This is where the industry is going, where zero emissions is what we are looking to do by, I believe, 2050. We're trying to get zero emissions for the US. But we have to actively start removing CO2 from the atmosphere. And this is another thing that is going to come up in our lifetime. And it's going to be a well-funded field for sure. A lot of my research, actually my personal research, deals with this in geological formations. And the DOE is basically throwing money at this type of research. So this is something that I wanted to kind of focus on this, because it will be something that will benefit you in the future if you choose to participate, or if you at least just have an understanding of it. So that is why we are actually looking to do this. And we're also looking to do this in a collaboration with both universities. So you'll be paired with a ELAC student, or a UCLA and ELAC veterans will be paired together and actually conducting this as teams. So it won't be just on your own writing this. You'll have support from myself, support from the faculty, and support from other peers from other institutions as well. Cool. We're basically going to take 5 groups and basically pair them together, and we're going to do a literature review and write this up and submit it to a publication in geoscience. Cool. So what's the tentative timeline? This is basically the tentative timeline that we're looking at. There are no hard dates. We're looking to recruit in the fall, and this is on the UCLA term. Recruit at this time, have it rolling, and basically try to get individuals into lab by winter or spring or summer. And then from there, as you are selecting this program, we're going to establish a pathway for your success in the field that you're actually doing, and see what stuff we can do to actually help you out and create that individualistic path to success for each and every single one of you. So that's kind of what this program entails. It entails some work in this, but a lot of it is mainly focused on expanding your knowledge and understanding of certain things, but also expanding the opportunities that you may have presented for you. Building that network, and I can tell you this from doing an MBA. MBA is pretty much a degree on building networks. That's all they teach you. Building a network is probably one of the most important things I can relay to any individual. If you have a person in your network that's going to help you out and succeed, that's going to be much more advantageous than trying to get straight A's and so forth. This is what builds that network. We are here to link and connect you to individuals for your success, regardless of where it may take you or where you want to end up. With that, do I have any questions? And feel free to raise your hand or shout out.
When and how will we be selected?
So what's going to happen is Jessica and Reuben are going to send out a application form. It's going to be very generic, the same application form for our scholarship program. We just want to know what you're interested in, what stuff we can actually do to help out. This will be kind of like a selection process for that, to see if you're a fit for this program and if we can fit your goals as well. And from there, we do our selection. We have our internal meeting, orientation meeting, and then we introduce you to the UCLA team as well. So we can start building that rapport across both institutions. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So I'll be able to talk to Ms. Peak about this process. Okay.
Yes, of course. They are going to actually be sending out flyers, I believe, or some sort of multimedia for this actual organization or this actual program, and also send out this presentation as well. So you'll have all of these with you, and we're trying to do our selections sooner than later so we can sync up the UCLA team and the ELAC team. So they will be coming out in the next few weeks, I believe.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Do I have any other questions?
I had a question. Yeah, so you said anyone could join regardless of major?
Yep.
And at that point, you would want to shift them to a green STEM major, or
So,
did I not say that right?
The major is not what we're looking to fill this green STEM field with. What we're looking to do is the research is going to be green STEM oriented. So as long as you're open to research and open to that, that's kind of fill our requirement for this. We do take a preference in STEM majors because they have a developed background in that specific field. But it's not a specific requirement, especially because I understand that a lot of students at ELAC are placed in majors that might not reflect where they want to end up, or they're in general majors where they're not in a specific program that would be like, hey, this is a STEM program. So what we're looking to do is open this up to any major, but as long as you have an interest in doing geoscience research or open to doing that, expanding your horizons to that, that's kind of what we want. And if you choose to go down a STEM route later down the road, more power to you. If you do not, then that's totally fine too. But as long as you have the experience and understanding of what it entails and what is there.
Is this research, how are we going to achieve this information? Are we going to have like, databases that we could access, or
like as far as like research or the capstone?
Yeah, everything that's available. How could it make it easier for us to have the edge?
Yeah, a lot of universities have access to journal articles and stuff, and I'm actually going to teach you how to actually source this. So it's not going to just be a Google search and looking up Wikipedia. It's going to be looking up different databases for like articles and looking up and reading through that actual material. So there are databases that you have access to as an ELAC student. And if you do not, you can get access through it through our university as well, or affiliation through ours. And we can see if we can work around that. So like, for example, like major scientific journals such as Science, Nature, Elsevier has a huge list of articles, Geochemica and so forth. Those are all publication sources. And basically those are journal articles at the advanced level that you can look up and actually read and find this information. So all of this information will be available to you online. Generic information usually starts at Wikipedia, where it's like, hey, I can find this and so forth, but we never want to cite that. So we always do more research into it, into the sources from which that information is taken. So that's what I'm going to help you do, and basically be able to utilize the resources that you already have or have access to through your association with ELAC.
That sounds great. How are we going to play a role as an ELAC student? Because I know at UCLA you're a higher major. Like, what are you looking for in an ELAC student?
So I wouldn't say we're a higher major. It's just a different university. We might have access to more resources, but what I would say is that with that, because we're pairing you up with UCLA students as well, you will have access to whatever that team has access to. So what we are looking, especially with you guys, we're not trying to, it's going to be an equal playing field. You'll be on the same level as a UCLA student as well. That's kind of what I want out of it. And I want to kind of develop that kind of that grit or that ability to do that level of research with that. So you will have the same expectations, and you'll also have the same level of resources available to you. We will just find a favorable pathway that works for you to get to that level.
Well, thank you for the answer. I just have one last question. I did read one of the slides it said about sequestration compilation. I mean
Yes.
compilation. And that just for the carbon information that we're going to be accumulating?
So the deliverables of this course or this program is basically what you can deliver in that time frame. One of the key things is a CO2 sequestration paper. That is one separate paper that's going to be published in a publication, and that is a definite for the actual course. It's yeah. So that is going to be required, and that's going to be something that we teach you how to do research, and we give you actual topics for doing that. So we're not going to just give you, hey, this is CO2 sequestration, go have at it. The 5 groups, we're going to actually give them topics to do research on, and this is going to be an entire year thing. So we're going to have milestones and things like, hey, how many resources have you collected? What have you developed on this specific area? What's the actual what's going on here? We might have you do a presentation in a week or like in one of the weeks and so forth on, hey, what we compiled and what this area is like. So you can kind of educate the other individuals as well. So that's kind of why this is being done. It's to develop that ability to do research. That's actually one of the reasons why we are promoting this CO2 capstone. Now, with that, the research that you're doing at the lab is independent of this. That is something that we require just so you have your foot in the door. If you are in a position where you are publishing in a lab or publishing research that you do in a lab, then that's going to be added research publications on your resume and participation in that. And that's what I'm looking to do as well. For example, there are a few UCLA students that are actually interested in my lab specifically because of that. And I'm actually going to throw them on publications and put them into research opportunities, which get them on that because I'm looking to graduate soon. So that's kind of like additional research that you will be doing as well. The CO2 sequestration is independent of lab. That's something that has to be done across the board.
Okay. I know I said I was going to say the last question, but I did see that. Thank you. I did see that that it said a requirement of 3.0 GPA. Is that what we have to maintain throughout the year of this?
Starting at this point, it's something that we should look to maintain starting from now. The reason is what you guys did in the past is going to be something that might affect your selection, but how you're doing now and how our program actually helps you, we should be able to meet that 3.0 mark. And that's going to be our goal, to get you up to that point or kind of help you to get to that point where if you are shy, we can address that. Like through tutoring or however else.
Got it. Okay. So I think that's it for me. Is there anything else, or do I just speak to Ms. Peak about this? Will we get information, or
Yep.
they call us?
Yep, I would speak to Ms. Peak about this. I think me and Reuben and Jessica will be going over this in greater detail in the near future. And we're gonna be getting ready to submit the applications out to everyone. So with that, you will have all the resources there, and you can coordinate with Ms. Peak.
Okay. All right. I'm good. It was a good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one last question.
Of course.
So you said we would have access to tutoring if needed, right?
Yep.
So would that mean you would open up UCLA tutors to us, or would that be ELAC tutors?
Either or. It could be private tutors as well, as long as there's funding for it. And we have a pretty solid budget for this program. So it's built into the actual program. So yeah, if we can't find tutors at ELAC, UCLA, or so forth, we'll have to source them from external sources.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Great questions, both Christian and Ricardo. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But I have a question also, Zishan, and something I was asked earlier today in response to my reminder email that went out for today's session.
Yep.
I don't see that the student showed up, but he reported that He's not an ELAC student.
Okay.
And I was wondering if he can still participate. So my guess is he does have to be an ELAC student, but I'm wondering if there is a minimum number of units for a student to be eligible, because sometimes we'll get students from other campuses who are taking a class with us, and you never know when that would happen. So
Yeah, there actually isn't a minimum number of student units.
Okay.
If the person is, this program does require some extracurricular like activities, which I mean, they will benefit you in the long run. So we don't want to put a cap on units, like have someone full time and then they have to do research as well and so forth. It's that's kind of like a overkill. So we are not putting any limitations on units as long as they are a student at ELAC University as per the grants writing. If they're not a student at ELAC, I would have to consult with Radna and figure out if that is even possible, because we are looking to limit this to this. Well, under what circumstance would a student not be registered at ELAC?
So this particular student sounds like he did and matriculate into ELAC probably last semester, but decided to actually enroll somewhere else. That's how he received our email, because he's considered a matriculated student. So when he saw the email, he was interested, but because he's not attending ELAC, he wanted to know if he's still eligible. But in my head, I thought probably not, because it is an ELAC UCLA effort. But at the same time, I'm trying to think of, well, what if he took one class at ELAC, enrolled into one class, and then would that make him eligible at that point if he's interested?
I would assume that would. If they're an ELAC student, they should be able to. And if for some reason they're not, because especially because I did a small time at like a college like this as well, where I was doing courses at different areas as well. So that's totally fine. As long as they meet the requirement of like, hey, at least being an ELAC student. I know they matriculated into it, but at least having some credits on that book, it will put them off as that.
That sounds good.
Ideally, yeah. And it's like if they're part-time as well, it might actually benefit them because they'll have more time to do this research. Some of the stuff can get kind of daunting. Shoot, my dog. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I have a question now. How will the work be distributed amongst this group of people? Like, will there be like a? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So the work, there's not really a significant amount of work that has to be done as far as outside the Capstone Project. It's mainly benefiting you at that point. The research is going to be as per the research that you fall under. You can pick which research lab that you want to go to. We can place you into favorable labs that we have already built rapport with. But if that doesn't fit where you want to go or what you want to do, then you can pick those other labs, and it's going to be as per the obligations that PI has. The PI meaning the primary investigator or the person in charge of those labs. Now, I can tell you this much: certain labs require ridiculous hours, and that's one of the reasons why I left certain labs. Especially organic chemistry or chemistry-oriented labs, they want you there for 6 days a week or something ridiculous. So we'll let you know that, hey,
my computer's dying.
Yeah, this is gonna be recorded, so I can send it to you after. Yep. So just to answer that, as just for recording purposes. So with that, the workload for different research opportunities or different labs is going to be different across the board. Some PIs will understand, hey, this is what the limitations are with this individual. Some will not, and we're going to try to find an environment that is the first, not the latter. So yeah, it's going to vary per individual, and the amount of research, especially for the CO2 sequestration, you can spread it out over the course of that. We're going to get milestones that will be reasonable for completion for that specifically. So you shouldn't fall behind because of that. But the research, as far as like the different research labs, that might take more time. out your day, depending on who your PI is and what the actual role is. If it's remote, like you're doing some data computation, then it can be done remotely. But if you have to come into lab for, let's say, precipitation reaction or something like that, then you might have to travel and do that. Yeah. Cool. Does anyone have any other questions? Awesome. Well, it was very nice meeting all of you, and all this this recording will go out for everyone as well. I believe we are looking to get the applications out sooner than later, and you should be in the loop for that in the near future. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Jessica or Reuben for more information, because we're going to keep everyone in the loop on what's going on. Cool. Well, if I have no other questions, yep.
Awesome, Zishan. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time being here today. I know Reuben, Eddie, and myself are really excited about this program. Our VRC staff is fully aware of it as well. So we're hoping to find some ELAC vets who would like to apply. So thank you for joining us today. We're excited about this.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, great presentation, Zishan. Great job.
Thank you.